Alright everybody, what's up? I've spent the last couple days researching to being confused to mind-boggled to coming up with this video, and I'm just gonna start from the beginning. Turn my phone the other way just so I don't expose anybody's emails. So bear with me. We got some stuff to go over. The other day, Dr. Ali did a video, and they found this in the freezer. What appeared to be tissue or a piece of lung, maybe. As I was scrolling through everything on Facebook, like I do every day, I saw somebody had put a picture of... Oh, not that one. Give me 1 second. Oh, here it is. What a lung or tissue would look like. I don't know about you. This is probably maybe a smoker or lung disease up here, but down here it definitely looks like it could be part of a lung or tissue. I'm gonna make this pretty quick just because I have a lot to go over. I'm trying to stick to one subject at a time so I don't confuse anybody. Next is this pipe. Now, I've worked in restaurants my entire life, and I've never seen something like this. I even asked my stepdad, and he had no idea why it looks like this, and he gets his walk-in cooler freezer fixed every few months. What I can see up here, if you can see the cursor, or let me grab a pen, right here, I mean, it kind of looks like some type of mold. I would hope to God that that's not hair, but, if the freezer or walk-in cooler, I'm not too sure which one this is, looks like this, the chances are it's having issues and it's probably not going to work. If it is, it's going to work really poorly. As far as what this is over here, I mean, from far away you would think that it looks like some type of beehive, but it's not. It reminds me of maybe there was a leak or something like that, and they tried to use the expansion stuff that goes in cracks to kind of stop it. But from the way that this looks, and if I would have had time today, I probably would have stopped by one of the restaurant stores or where they sell these coolers and probably asked them. I might try to do that tomorrow. But by the looks of it, it's probably not working, especially enough to turn on and be able to freeze a body. Give me 1 second here to get next to the next subject that I'm going to move on to. Somebody had posted... Actually, I have one more picture. It's the watch. Now, as Dr. Ali was talking about this, I don't think he had time to pay attention to the chat. I don't know if anybody else caught this. Right here, if you look real close, it almost looks like the white plastic thing that they put in between the watch when you pull it out, when you buy it, so it doesn't waste the battery, is still attached to the watch. And I'll try to get real close for you. Let me grab my pen. Right here, this little white plastic thing that's in between the watch. So whoever, I mean, these have to be the dumbest criminals in the history of criminals. And I'll state it again, because not only are you going to put a watch that's not hers on her wrist, you obviously went and bought it at the store, and then you were dumb enough to not even take the plastic part off to prove that it wasn't just bought. So I'm gonna let everybody get their screenshots, and we're gonna move on here. After looking at everything that I've looked at today, I'm pretty irritated. And I don't know how everybody else feels, but I hope Dr. Ali is getting somewhere with this. He might change his plans after what he sees what I'm about to show. So, moving on, and I don't want to expose anybody, so give me 1 second here to get back to where I need to be. We're just going to start here. Now, this lady has lost her child. In the beginning, you know, we all started protesting, and everybody was standing out there, and everything was going good. Jedediah, everybody, you know, was justice for Kenneka, and then all of a sudden it feels like they pulled back, and I think we can all agree to why. Why were we all fighting for justice for Kenneka, and all of a sudden it stopped? And there's just some questions that I have regarding this case, and I know people want to point fingers at Mrs. Martin, but have you ever just tried to ask her some questions? So that's what we're going to do now. I heard, especially today, throughout all these chat rooms, which most of these chat rooms are a bunch of trolls, I'll give you that, but people are starting to pick up on that. And, I heard that she had 6 children. So I started doing a little research to find out who these 6 kids were. And let's see, if we had to make a list, you guys can go ahead and get a pen and paper if you want, because trust me, I could use all the help I can get when trying to research this. Hold on, I lost it. Here we go. Now, the first kid that we would have that we know about would be Kenneka. And I'm going to write all this down too while we're doing this. So, we have Kenneka, and then from what I'm understanding, we have a twin brother who is Kenny Jr. Okay? They were both born in 1998. They would have graduated in 2016. The third child that we know of would be Lenore Harris. And she, I believe, is 25. So that gives us 3 kids. Then, from what I've been told, there was a 4th child who is deceased. Until a little bit ago, I wasn't sure what his name was, but I'm pretty sure it's Joshua Martin. And if you give me 1 second here, I will show you a picture. I'm sure this would be a lot easier if I didn't just have my phone to deal with and have to show you pictures off of my laptop, but considering the hacking and the no Wi-Fi and all this stuff, this is as good as it gets. At least right now. So, from my understanding, this is who the other brother is. Now, whether or not this is the brother that's in jail or this is the brother that's deceased, I'm not too sure. But from what I'm understanding, this is the brother, Joshua, that is deceased. I mean, if you look at his facial features, he looks like Kenneka and her twin brother. They just have the same mouth and the same facial features. So, we're at what, 4 kids? So then that leaves 2 more, and I've searched everywhere to try to find these other 2 kids. When the real Yvonne was on the other day, she had stated something, which I wouldn't share what she posted, but there was a document that she found of Kanika that started, I believe, in 2014, and it was recorded in 2014, recorded in 2015, and then there was nothing. Now, from my understanding, that document is in the system when you're subpoenaed to be in court. Now, I don't know if that's because she witnessed that shooting and she was wanted in court, or if that's from something before. But, hang on, I'm gonna get a drink. But, I'm just wondering why it all of a sudden starts in 2014 and there's nothing before that. Maybe because she lived in a different state. I'm not too sure. But then I'm hearing that they're adopted. I mean, which is fine. People adopt children all the time. So, if that's the case, then cool. The mother still deserves justice. So now we're at what? Kanika Jr., Lenore Harris, and then Joshua Martin. I mean, I am a little bit confused as to why they all have different last names, but we're going to move on. So, on the paperwork that the real Yvonne found, there's another child by the name of Kenny. That states he was born in 1992. Because trust me, I thought, hey, they just accidentally duplicated it, and that could possibly be the same kid. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's a flaw in the system or something like that. But that's my next question. Who is this other Kenny, and why are the dates different? Why does one say 1992 and the other one says 1998? So that would put us at 5 kids. If it's not duplicated and there really is 2 Kennys. Okay, so if there's 6 kids, then we have 1 more. Okay? So who is that 6th kid? And I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not accusing anyone, but I want to show you something. Now, from my understanding, Teresa Martin has 2 biological sisters. Okay? I'll let everybody get their screenshots. Now, who these sisters exactly are, I'm not too sure. I haven't got that far. But this is 1, this is 2, and this is Teresa. Now, I know you're going to say, hey, she looks different, you know, I'm not being mean or anything like that. She's a little bit heavier, but give the lady a little bit of credit. She had cancer and probably lost some weight, which she looks great. So I started to look for pictures of Teresa to try to kind of put this together and try to find who her actual family was. Now, I found this picture, and there's a girl in the green dress, and there is a boy standing over here. The girl in the green dress, I mean, they kind of do. They a little bit do look like Kanika. And I'm not too sure if that is a sister or if that is Miss Martin. But that's my question. Who are these 2 kids? Because that would put us at 7. So we're going to move on. Now, I found a video, sorry it's sideways, of Mrs. Martin and her sister. So this is one of her other sisters. Now, from what I've researched, her mother, I believe, was a foster parent, and she housed 20 kids. So this, even though she has 2 biological sisters, she could still have 20 brothers or sisters that she talks to or communicates with that are still family that were fostered through her mother. And then you have this picture with her and James and a bunch of kids in the car. Now, I recognize Kanika, but I don't recognize the other 4 kids, and I'm not too sure if James Coleman has kids or not. So that could be the case, or they could be cousins or her nieces or something like that in the car. I think Lenore's sitting behind her right over here. So, moving on. There's this picture. Now, there's Teresa in somebody's car. I don't know if this is a sister or if this is her mother, but we're working on it. I'll let you guys get your screenshots if you're unable to get online and look all this stuff up. Okay, so, sorry, give me one more second. I have to keep hitting my phone because it'll go off if I don't. Now, at one point, I remember somebody stating something about a Candace Fleming. Something about her son died or something, and they ended up taking his organs. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is Candace Fleming. And at first, I thought maybe they thought that Teresa Martin was Candace Fleming. But they're 2 totally different people. Sorry, I'm not trying to jump the gun here. I keep hitting the wrong key. So this is our Candace Fleming. It is not Teresa Martin. Whether or not her son was killed or his organs were taken, I have no idea. So, moving on. This is a family photo. And from my understanding, this is Teresa Martin. And the rest would be 2 sisters, and then one of them I'm guessing is her mother. That would make sense to why she has 2 biological sisters, or maybe one of the other sisters was adopted or something like that, and we just haven't heard of them. The lady that's in the middle, I'm trying to get the glare off of this computer. Let me see if I can turn the light off for a second. Okay. The lady in the middle, I mean, she resembles Teresa, but she also resembles Kanika. Now, I don't know if she adopted these kids from one of her sisters or if they were adopted through the system. I'm not too sure, but let me try to get close. I'll turn my phone for you if you guys want to get screenshots. Now, there's 3 little kids in the front. From my understanding, even though the girl holding the baby looks like Teresa and Kanika, Teresa, from my understanding, is the girl in the blue. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you where I found this picture. I'm going to turn the light back on now. Now, this is another picture of Teresa, from what I'm understanding. Now, these pictures are probably from a long time ago. Oh. And here's another one. Did everybody get their screenshots? Okay. So, Charity Hill is supposed to be Teresa Martin. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with why you changed your name. But Charity Hill was once married to a guy with the last name Haskins. And from my understanding, he died in 2008. And if you look a little bit closer, they lived in Omaha, Nebraska. Let everybody get their screenshots. Now, my next question would be for Charity Hill is, if your husband died, did he take your last name or did you go back to your maiden name? So I decided to research that a little bit. And what I found out is that the last name Jenkins is actually her real father's last name. And it kind of makes sense because Haskins and Jenkins kind of go together. Even though, from my understanding, a lot of African American people's last name is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of Jenkins, is what I'm trying to say. So, I started researching that. Because, how did her kids... Okay, her kids' last names are Martin and Jenkins, from my understanding, not Hill. So, I kind of searched this page a little bit, and that's when... Here, let me show you this real quick. Okay, they look like they could be sisters, if not the same person. And I have an email from somebody stating that, yes, Charity Hill changed her name to Teresa Martin. So, I wouldn't just throw this information out here if I didn't have validation. Why? I don't know. And my next question would be, is if she has kids that were adopted with the last name Jenkins, which would connect to her real father, and her husband Haskins died in 2008, how did she have kids with Kenny Lee Martin, who passed away in 2006? Unless, I mean, I don't know. What, they adopted these kids somewhere in between or after, I'm not too sure. That's something else that we're looking into. I'm not too sure which way I'm going with these pictures. So... I came across this kid. Okay? On Charity Hill's page, you will find a little kid named Atlantis. And the other night, when I was in Kate 420's chat room, some anonymous person, we don't remember who it was, and I'm still waiting on the chat comments to be screenshotted to me. Somebody said Teresa Martin was Charity Hill. And that's when I started to look into it further. What am I trying to say here? This is who I believe is Atlantis. Now, they also stated a kid's name by the name of, I believe, Atlas, and I can't find that child anywhere. But this girl right here, from my understanding, has 2 Facebook pages, and I'm going to show you her other one. I hope it's in order. Atlantis Johnson. And as you can see, they both live in Omaha, Nebraska. But what else I'm going to show you Chicago, Illinois in 2008. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe that's just because her husband passed away and she came back home to be around family, which is completely normal. Except I looked down here and it said I was scared, but my dad helped me. R.I.P. Charles Driscoll. Okay, so I looked him up. Why would it say R.I.P.? Because here's his Facebook right here. And you know what? I think it has been a while since he posted, but I'm not too sure. That's something that we have to look into. Like I said, I was throwing this information and threw it all together real quick. But that would mean that this Atlantis child, this would be her father from what I'm understanding. So does she have children with this Haskins guy? And is Haskins really the last name, or is it Jenkins? Then I noticed this. And it doesn't have... Yvonne's the one that's really good at knowing whether or not, if there's no date or there is a date or a year, how that works. So if she's watching, maybe she can figure this out. It says September 8th, and that's the last time before, I think, like, sometime in August that she had posted on this page. Which I thought was kind of odd, because that's the weekend that all this happened if it's in the same year. Which could be completely understandable, because if she was in the hospital or she was resting, I mean, the one thing you can do is play a game on your phone. Moving on. So this is on the AJ Hill or Atlantis Johnson, because from what I'm assuming, those are the same person. One is just an older profile on Facebook. But then I started to look over the cities that they lived. Now, down here you have Chicago, which says hometown. Up here you have Arkansas, which is 2004. I'm trying to go in order here. Then we have 2006, Arkansas, so I'm kind of confused. Where were they in 2005? And then we have 2009 and 2010, Detroit, Michigan. And then current city, Omaha, Nebraska. Is anybody picking up on what I'm thinking? Well, maybe you will here in a second. We're going to come back to this. Okay, then we have this right here, and like I had said in the other day in one of my videos, the hand over the mouth is supposed to mean don't be a snitch. I kind of think this is an older picture because, like I said, her hair isn't red anymore. But who is this little boy? Because that would put us at what? We were at 5, and then we added Atlantis and possibly Atlas, 7, so this would make 8. Unless this is a possible foster child that her mom is taking care of, or a niece or nephew, one of her sister's kids, or maybe it's Lenore's kid, I don't know. But that's another question that I do have. Moving on. Okay, so what we did was we took the address of Kenneka Jenkins and the address of Charity Hill, and we punched them into a map. Okay? This is where they live in Chicago, except I think one of the addresses was different, and what we figured out is that they're about 3 minutes apart. Anywhere from 3 to 9 minutes apart, which I found kind of odd. Now I started thinking, maybe they weren't the same person. How is this possible? Why does she have more than one house? And then I came across this. She works for DHHS. And trust me, tomorrow I'm going to give them a call. And I'm going to find out if she still works there. Because this opens a whole nother can of worms. Because I was under the impression that DHHS wasn't allowed to foster or adopt these children. Now, I don't know if anybody else knows the laws on that or how that works. I don't remember your name. Maybe Kelly, that was in Cage Chat last night, that said she worked for DHHS. I'm not too sure. I'll try to figure it out here when I get off from this video. But I find that a little odd. And if this really is Teresa Martin, which I'm pretty sure it is, and your name was once Charity Hill and you worked for DHHS, do you still work for DHHS? Because this is going to blow out of the water with what I'm thinking. Not only that, the states that they had lived in, if we've paid attention to all of the sex trafficking and the human trafficking and everything going on around the world, I can say Chicago's number one. Number two would be Michigan. I'm not too sure about Arkansas. What were the other ones? I would say like Louisiana, New Orleans, maybe somewhere in Texas, Florida. Now, I'm not saying she lived in all these places. I'm just throwing out an example that, like, this concerns me. And it should concern everybody else. Because I thought she worked in a cafeteria. Or, like, a hospital or something like that to do with hospitality. I didn't know that she was working for DHHS. So maybe she used to and she doesn't anymore. Like I said, I can't see the date right down here. I know it's August 23rd, 2000 and something, but I can't see the rest of it. And maybe when they moved, she doesn't work there anymore. Who knows? But I do find it odd that their houses are 3 minutes apart. Even if they weren't the same person, there's no way in hell they don't know each other. Because I started putting it together, well, maybe if it was something for food stamps, or maybe if it was something for welfare, or something like that, that's how they were connected. There's also, I didn't put it on here because I forgot, but there is a girl on Charity Hill's profile by the name of, the last name's McKee, I think. And the only person that she is friends with is the Sincerely Nene page and Monifa Shelton and Charity Hill, which I kind of thought, maybe, just maybe, they know each other somehow through the system, or maybe this other girl was a foster kid in her mother's house, and that's a possibility. But what concerns me is the situation going on with the Rosemont Hotel, and her daughter's missing, and we're sitting here fighting for justice, and we have no answers. So this is why we had to dig and find out the information that we're finding out for the answers. So had they been answered in the beginning, we probably wouldn't be going to these lengths or have to go to these lengths. And now I'm pretty sure after this video, everybody's going to want to know what the hell is going on. So, regardless of why you changed your name, Mrs. Martin, I would like to know, do you still work for DHHS, and where are your other 2 children? Do you have a child by the name of Atlas? And if so, where is she? Why? I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter why all your kids have different last names, but where are all these, like, kids, and do you have more than one house? And what the hell is going on? Like, I feel like you owe us an explanation for standing up for the justice of your daughter. Let me make sure that I showed you guys everything. Here's another thing. Now, if you look on the tattoo on her chest, from the very top it says Lenore, Kanika, Kenneth, and I think it's Johanna, which I believe is her grandchild. Why aren't your other kids tattooed on your chest? I mean, I find that okay, but if you really have 6 kids, why are the other 2 not on there? Maybe you just haven't got them done yet. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not blaming. I just think that there's some questions that need answered. And then I want to move on to something else somebody sent me tonight that really concerns me. And this is supposed to be, I guess, Young Grayos, which I don't remember what his real name is, but he said, what mistake was made that wish they could change? And then down here it says, I made a bad mistake, I wish I could change it. R.I.P. Kanika. Which also concerns me, because if he's going to go turn himself in, okay, good for you. I praise you. Okay, you will eventually be forgiven by God, hopefully, if you killed Kanika. But I also want to state that with everything going on and what the mediums have had to say, and it's hard to determine what's real and what's not with all the fake bullshit being thrown out there. But when I showed everybody those fake emails, there was another conversation that I had, and whoever this person was told me that Monifa was supposed to be the one to die, not Kanika. And the drinks got switched. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know. But I also was told that when Mama T showed up at the hotel, Kanika was still alive in that freezer. And they turned it on because she was screaming for help. So, Young Grayos, how do you know that you actually killed her? And I don't want to see somebody go to jail for doing something that they didn't do. I'm not saying that if you raped her, you're not going to get some shit for it. But raping somebody and murdering somebody are 2 totally different things. And I think somebody needs to step forward and start talking about what really is going on. Now, my next concern is this Napoleon Dynamite looking freak. Whether it's a male or female, I don't know. Whether it's the guy, what's the guy's name? Bob, I don't know, that paints the little murals. I have no idea. He was cross-dressing for the weekend. But this little girl down here, I know it's hard to see and it's kind of blurry, but whoever enhanced these photos, did a really good job because they were even worse before. Okay, I want you to notice this little girl. And we're going to go to the next one. Did anybody notice that those are two totally different children? Which really concerns me now. Why is Freak-a-Leak walking through the hallways with two little kids that obviously are not his or hers? Okay? In the Rosemont Hotel that is already known for organ trafficking. Now that concerns me, and then it brings me back to the fact that if Teresa Martin really works for DHHS and they have all these kids coming in and out of their houses, and then you have these houses right here that are so close together, how are we to know that they're not involved? So this story just went left. And I'm sure as soon as a lot of people see these photos, and I called DHHS in the morning, and there's also a lady at CNN that somebody had posted a Justice for Kenneka video a little bit ago about the butcher in Chicago and how her son got shot and this and that, and went over that video. And if you can find it, I suggest you watch it, because I'm going to try to contact that news reporter and find out what the hell is going on. So that's all I have for right now. I actually feel like I should go run 5 miles because I'm so stressed out over this situation, and I honestly feel like most of us are more stressed out, and it looks like more of us are. I'm not saying Mama T's not stressed out. I mean, her kid died. But I want to find out more about if she works there, and did she change her name, and why are there so many kids. And there was one more picture. Let me see if I can find it. It was, I think Lenore had posted it. Here we go. I think it was May 11th. Now, from what I'm assuming is this is Mrs. Martin right here, and I'm assuming that that is Teresa Martin's real mother. I think that her and her sisters have different fathers, and I don't know how many children she has, but where did all these kids come from? Because I'm sure they didn't all come from Lenore. Maybe they're foster kids. Like I said, are they this Mrs. Martin's foster kids? Or are they Mama T's foster kids? Or where are all these kids coming from? Maybe they're just all cousins and this and that, but with two biological daughters, maybe these are the foster kids. I'm not too sure. But that's another question that I have, and I'm sure everybody's just a little bit disturbed like I am, and we just want some answers. So I'm going to let everybody sleep on this, and we're going to come back with some more questions and answers tomorrow. So justice for Kenneka, and everybody have a good night.